Welcome back to True Crime and Strange Happenings. Today we bring you one of the most chilling UK cases of recent years, the Suitcase murders. In July 2025, Justin Andres Mosquera, a Colombian man, was found guilty of murdering an elderly couple and dumping their dismembered remains in suitcases on Bristol's iconic Clifton suspension bridge. In July 2024, two men vanished from their London home. Days later, on a quiet summer morning, a pair of blood-soaked suitcases appeared on the Clifton suspension bridge. What was inside would haunt the nation, and what came next would expose a chilling tale of sex, betrayal, greed, and unimaginable violence. Albert Alfonso, 62, and Paul Longworth, 71, were well known in their Shepherd's Bush neighborhood. A quiet, older couple, private but pleasant. Albert was a gentle soul with Colombian roots. Paul, a retired art dealer, was more reserved, but equally warm once you got to know him. They lived a simple life. They kept to themselves, but they also had a taste for adventure, particularly of the sexual kind. Their home was sometimes shared with visitors, men they met online. It was part of an unspoken agreement, consensual, transactional, discreet. In June 2024, they invited someone new into their home, a man who would become their killer. Justin Andres Mosquera, 35, born in Colombia, tall, handsome, confident. Online, he was charismatic and alluring. It's unclear how exactly he first connected with Albert, but their communications had started before Mosquera ever stepped foot in the UK. He arrived in London in early July. By all appearances, he was there to enjoy the city, perhaps stay with the couple a few weeks. But Justin had other plans. Within days, he was scouring the internet for chest freezers, searching where to stab someone so they die instantly. He was casing out the couple's finances, checking their bank balance, Googling how to transfer money from UK bank accounts, and then dismemberment techniques. On July 8, 2024, in the early morning hours, Albert and Justin began what appeared to be an ordinary sexual encounter. They had done this before, but this time was different. As Albert lay vulnerable, Justin took a knife and stabbed him, once, twice, then 13 times in a frenzied attack. The last wounds were to Albert's chest and neck. He died quickly. When Paul woke up later that morning, he walked into a nightmare. His partner of decades, murdered in cold blood. And then, he too was attacked. Justin bludgeoned Paul's head with a hammer. Forensic examiners would later describe the skull as pulverized. The attack was as merciless as it was personal. Then came the dismemberment, meticulous, calculated. Justin cut up both bodies. Some parts went into the couple's own freezer, others into suitcases. 2 days later, July 10th. Morning light spills over Bristol. The iconic Clifton suspension bridge hangs silently in the air. It's 5:45 a.m. when Mosquera arrives, dragging two heavy suitcases. Pub-goers walking home from a night out notice him. One offers help, but the bags are leaking. Something dark and sticky. The man refuses help, says it's just meat. An eyewitness stated the following: "I thought it was weird, but he was in a rush. I just let him go." He lifts the bags onto the bridge and walks away, but a cyclist captures video of him. Moments later, someone calls police. They open the bags. Inside, human torsos. Limbs wrapped in cling film, duct tape, blood-soaked towels. One bag had melted ice and a frozen hand. Scotland Yard launches one of its most gruesome homicide investigations in recent memory. The victims are quickly identified. A manhunt begins. 3 days later, July 13th, Mosquera is spotted and arrested. He doesn't resist. He's calm, almost smug. The trial begins in July 2025, a year after the murders. Mosquera claims he didn't plan the killings, says Albert attacked him first, claims Paul's death was self-defense. But the evidence is overwhelming. The search history, the theft attempt, the suitcases, the video footage, the brutality. The prosecutor stated the following: "This was calculated. He was after their money. He used them, killed them, and tried to discard them like trash." After just 5 hours of deliberation, the jury returns with a verdict: guilty of both murders. The families of Albert and Paul were devastated. Their private lives had been dragged into the public spotlight in the most horrifying way. But what lingered was the brutality, the deception, and the utter lack of remorse. One of the detectives on the case shared the following reflection: "I've worked murder for 25 years, but this case, this one will stay with me forever." Some say the bridge still carries that energy. Staff working nearby claimed hearing dragging noises late at night. Tourists have fainted on the spot where the suitcases were left. One local resident stated, "Sometimes, I swear I still see him walking that bridge with those bags." The suitcase murders remind us of how evil can wear a charming face, how trust can be weaponized, and how even in the modern world, the ancient horror of betrayal and blood still plays out in our streets. Albert and Paul were lovers. They died in a place they called home. Their story now becomes a warning, a mystery, a haunting chapter in the ledger of strange happenings. May their souls rest in peace. Thank you for watching this episode of True Crime and Strange Happenings. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more haunting tales from the edge of belief.